The power of prayer. Real-life miracles that will leave you speechless. Throughout history, prayer has been a source of hope, strength, and miraculous intervention for countless people. Some call it faith, others call it divine power, but one thing remains undeniable. Prayer has changed lives in ways that defy explanation. Whether in moments of desperation or in quiet gratitude, those who turn to prayer often experience extraordinary outcomes. But what is it about prayer that makes it so powerful? Is it merely psychological comfort, or is there truly a higher power listening? In this video, we will explore real-life miracles, stories of divine intervention that will leave you speechless. From incredible healings to supernatural protection, these accounts serve as reminders that prayer is not just a ritual, but a direct connection to a living and active God. A mother's prayer and a miracle. Healing doctors had given up hope. Sarah's 5-year-old son, Ethan, had been diagnosed with a rare and aggressive disease. Every treatment had failed, and his condition worsened day by day. The doctors gently told Sarah to prepare for the worst, but she refused to accept that answer. Instead, she fell to her knees and prayed like never before. God, I know you are the great healer. Please, I beg you, save my son. Day and night she prayed. Friends, family, and even strangers joined in, lifting Ethan up in prayer. One night, after months of struggle, something unimaginable happened. Ethan's condition, which had only been deteriorating, suddenly improved. His fever broke. His strength returned. Within weeks, further medical tests confirmed what no one could believe. His disease was completely gone. Doctors had no explanation. It's a medical mystery, they said. But Sarah knew the truth. It wasn't just a mystery. It was a miracle. Saved from a deadly accident, Tom had driven that road 100 times before. It was a routine evening drive home from work. But that night was different. As he approached an intersection, a strange feeling overwhelmed him. A strong, unshakable urge to slow down. He wasn't sure why, but something inside him whispered, "Stop." Despite no visible danger, he obeyed the inner voice and hit the brakes. Just seconds later, a massive truck came speeding through the intersection, running a red light at full speed. Had Tom continued at his normal pace, he would have been directly in its path. The impact would have been fatal. Shaken, he realized something incredible. His prayer earlier that morning had been, "Lord, guide my steps today." Coincidence? He didn't think so. Tom knew, without a doubt, that God had just saved his life. A divine rescue in the middle of the ocean. John was an experienced sailor. He had spent years navigating the open seas. But one evening, a violent storm caught him by surprise. Towering waves crashed against his small boat, tossing it like a toy in the raging waters. His radio had failed. His GPS was useless. Alone in the darkness, he realized that no one knew where he was. Desperate, he cried out, "God, help me!" At that moment, the wind seemed to shift. The waves, though still powerful, began guiding him in a different direction. Then, in the distance, he saw a faint light. Guided only by that light, he sailed toward it, not knowing where it would lead. Hours later, he found himself washed up near a tiny island, where he was later rescued by a passing ship. When he later checked his coordinates, he was stunned. The current should have taken him deeper into the ocean, not toward land. But somehow, he had been led to safety. John knew the truth. His prayer had been answered. Why some prayers are answered instantly. Many people wonder, why do some prayers result in immediate miracles, while others seem to go unanswered? The Bible tells us that God's ways are higher than our ways. Sometimes He responds immediately with supernatural intervention. Other times, He works through circumstances, people, and even delays to bring about His perfect plan. But one thing is certain: God always hears us. And when we pray with faith, incredible things can happen. A divine voice in the wilderness. Sometimes, God answers prayers not through miraculous healings or physical protection, but by guiding people in ways they never expected. Michael, a young missionary, found himself lost in a dangerous, remote jungle while traveling to a small village to share the gospel. As night fell, he realized he had no idea which direction to go. He had no phone signal, no compass, and no way to call for help. The sounds of wild animals filled the air, and fear gripped his heart. Kneeling on the damp ground, he whispered a desperate prayer. "Lord, I trust you. Please lead me to safety." At that moment, something remarkable happened. A voice, gentle yet firm, spoke clearly in his heart. "Turn left and walk." At first, Michael hesitated. Was this just his imagination? But something deep inside urged him to obey. He took a step to the left, then another and another. With each step, the voice continued to guide him. Left, right, straight ahead. After what felt like hours, he saw lights in the distance. A surge of relief filled him as he realized he had walked straight into the village he had been trying to find. Later, when he retraced his path, he discovered something chilling. Had he walked in any other direction, he would have stumbled into steep cliffs and deep ravines. There was no logical reason for how he had found his way, except that God had guided his steps. Michael knew, without a doubt, that his prayer had been answered in a way he never expected. The prayer that brought peace amid tragedy. Not all miracles are about physical rescue. Some are about finding peace in the middle of unimaginable pain. Mary had been married for over 30 years when her husband passed away suddenly. The grief was unbearable. Every morning, she woke up feeling as though a heavy weight was crushing her chest. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and couldn't understand why God had allowed this to happen. She felt lost, alone, and completely broken. One evening, in complete desperation, she whispered a simple prayer. "God, I need you. Please give me peace." At that moment, something changed. It wasn't dramatic. There were no flashing lights or loud voices, but a warmth surrounded her. A deep, unshakable sense of calm filled her heart. For the first time since her husband's passing, she felt held. Nothing had changed in her circumstances. Her husband was still gone. Her grief was still real, but she no longer felt abandoned. She knew, deep within her soul, that God was with her. From that day forward, she found strength in prayer. She still missed her husband, but she was no longer drowning in sorrow. Instead, she carried peace beyond understanding. Why some prayers seem unanswered. While these stories show the incredible power of prayer, many people ask, why doesn't God always answer the way we expect? The truth is, God always hears us, but His answers come in different ways. Sometimes He says yes, and we witness immediate miracles. Sometimes He says wait, because the right time has not yet come. Sometimes He says no, because He has a better plan than we can see. When our prayers seem unanswered, it's not because God is silent. It's because He sees the bigger picture. What feels like a delay may actually be divine preparation. What feels like a rejection may actually be redirection. Faith means trusting that God is working, even when we don't understand. How to experience the power of prayer in your life. If these stories have shown us anything, it's that prayer is real and God is always listening. But how can we make prayer a daily part of our lives? Here are 4 key ways to experience the power of prayer. 1. Pray with faith. Believe that God hears you and that He has the power to move in your life. 2. Be persistent. Some prayers are answered instantly, while others take time. Keep praying, even when you don't see immediate results. 3. Listen for His voice. Sometimes God answers in ways we don't expect. Stay open to His guidance, whether through a feeling, a thought, or a sign. Give thanks, even when the answer isn't what you hoped for. Trust that God's plan is always for your good. The invitation to pray. Right now, whatever you are facing, whether it's a sickness, a financial struggle, or a broken relationship, know this: God is with you. If you feel lost, He will guide you. If you feel hopeless, He will give you strength. If you feel alone, He will remind you that you are deeply loved. Take a moment, close your eyes, say a simple prayer, because sometimes the most powerful miracles begin with just one whispered word: God.